What if art had no rules, no limits, only pure imagination? Today, we create without boundaries. The video begins in a quiet, softly illuminated studio, where the atmosphere itself feels like a blank canvas waiting to be filled. And as a professional artist, I welcome you into a deeply personal and inspiring journey titled Abstract Art, Art Without Limits. The camera slowly glides toward an untouched canvas resting on an easel, and in that moment, I invite you to look beyond what you see, because what appears empty is actually full of infinite possibility. I begin by sharing a simple but powerful idea that has guided my entire artistic journey. True art begins where limitations end. Too often, people believe that art must follow rules, techniques, or expectations, but abstract art exists to break those boundaries, to explore what happens when creativity is allowed to move freely without restriction. In this space, there is no right or wrong, no perfect or imperfect. Only expression, imagination, and the courage to begin. As I stand before the canvas, I pause, not out of hesitation, but out of respect for the moment, because every painting begins with a decision to transform thought into reality. I explain that inspiration does not always arrive as a clear image. Sometimes it is just a feeling, a fragment of emotion, or a fleeting idea that cannot yet be fully understood. That is the beauty of art without limits. It allows us to explore those undefined ideas and give them form. I begin preparing my palette, placing colors onto it like pieces of a story waiting to unfold. Deep blues suggest depth and reflection, vibrant reds carry intensity and passion, bright yellows radiate energy and hope, while soft whites create space for balance and light. As a professional artist, I have learned that color is more than visual, it is emotional language, and every color choice becomes a voice within the artwork. The camera moves closer as I pick up my brush and hover it gently above the canvas, allowing anticipation to build. This is the moment where fear often exists for many people, the fear of making the first mark, of ruining the blank canvas. But in art without limits, there is no such thing as ruining, only discovering. I gently place the first brushstroke onto the canvas, and instantly the silence is broken as color spreads across the surface. That first stroke is not just paint, it is a declaration that creativity has begun. I continue with fluid movements, allowing my hand to move instinctively rather than mechanically. Each brushstroke responds to the one before it, creating a rhythm that feels almost like a conversation between the artist and the canvas. As the painting evolves, I begin introducing more colors, layering them in ways that are both intentional and spontaneous. Some strokes are bold and energetic, sweeping across the canvas with confidence, while others are softer and more subtle, blending gently into the existing composition. I explain that this balance between control and freedom is at the heart of abstract art. Too much control can limit creativity, while too much randomness can lose direction, but when these two forces work together, they create something dynamic and alive. The camera captures close-up shots of paint mixing on the canvas, revealing unexpected color combinations that emerge naturally through the process. These moments are where creativity truly shines, because they cannot be planned, they can only be discovered. I begin using different tools, switching from brushes to palette knives, and even allowing my hands to interact with the paint directly. Texture begins to form on the canvas, adding depth and dimension to the artwork. I explain that texture is an essential part of art without limits because it allows the painting to exist not just visually, but physically. The layers of paint create a history of movement and emotion, capturing each moment of the creative process. When light hits these textures, it reveals new details, making the artwork feel alive and constantly evolving. There are moments during the process where the painting feels chaotic, where colors overlap in ways that seem unpredictable or even overwhelming, but I emphasize that this chaos is not something to fear. In fact, it is often the most important part of the journey. Chaos represents exploration, the willingness to go beyond comfort and discover new possibilities. As a professional artist, I have learned to trust these moments, to allow them to guide me rather than resist them. I step back from the canvas occasionally, observing the composition as a whole, looking for balance within the chaos. This is where intuition plays a crucial role, helping me decide where to add more energy and where to create calm. As the painting continues to develop, I begin refining certain areas, adding contrast to create visual interest and getting the viewer's eye across the canvas. Darker tones are introduced to add depth, while lighter highlights bring focus and clarity. I explain that contrast is one of the most powerful tools in abstract art because it creates movement and direction, allowing the artwork to communicate more effectively. The painting now feels dynamic, with areas of intensity balanced by moments of stillness, creating a sense of harmony within the freedom of expression. Throughout the process, I speak directly to the audience, encouraging them to let go of their own limitations. Many people believe they are not creative or that they lack artistic talent, but creativity is not something you are born with or without. It is something you develop by allowing yourself to explore. Art without limits is not about perfection. It is about expression, about giving yourself permission to create without fear of judgment. I remind viewers that every great artist began as a beginner, and every masterpiece started with uncertainty. The camera continues to capture the evolution of the painting, showing how each layer builds upon the previous one, creating a rich and complex composition. Colors that once stood alone now interact with each other, forming relationships that bring the artwork together. I add final touches, small details that enhance the overall composition and bring a sense of completion to the piece. These final moments are not about perfection, but about feeling, knowing when the painting has reached a point where it no longer needs more, where it speaks for itself. As I step back for the final time, the camera reveals the completed artwork in its entirety. What was once a blank canvas is now a vibrant, expressive piece of abstract art filled with color, texture, and emotion. I reflect on the journey, emphasizing that the true power of art without limits lies in its ability to transform not just the canvas, but the artist as well. Every painting is a learning experience. A moment of growth and a reflection of the artist's inner world. The finished artwork is then displayed in a well-lit space, allowing viewers to fully appreciate its depth and complexity. I explain that abstract art invites interpretation, allowing each viewer to connect with the piece in their own way. Some may see shapes or patterns, others may feel emotions or memories, and some may simply enjoy the beauty of the colors and textures. This open interpretation is what makes abstract art so powerful. It creates a dialogue between the artwork and the viewer. As the video moves toward its closing moments, I return to the idea that art is not about limitations, but about possibilities. The blank canvas that appeared at the beginning now stands as a reminder of where the journey began, and the finished painting represents what can be achieved when creativity is allowed to flow freely. I encourage viewers to take that first step in their own creative journey, to pick up a brush, experiment with colors, and discover their own unique form of expression. In the final scene, the camera slowly fades out as the artwork remains in view, glowing with the energy of the creative process. My voice offers one last message. Art without limits is not just a concept, it is a mindset. It is the belief that creativity has no boundaries, that imagination has no restrictions, and that every idea has the potential to become something extraordinary. Whether you are an experienced artist or someone just beginning to explore your creativity, remember that the only limit in art is the one you place on yourself. When you let go of that limit, you open the door to endless possibilities, and that is where true art begins. And just like that, what once was a silent, empty canvas has become a living expression of creativity without limits. Every color you see, every texture, every movement across this surface is a reminder that art is not about rules, perfection, or expectations. It is about freedom. As a professional artist, I can tell you that the most powerful moments in any creative journey happen when you let go of control and allow your imagination to guide you. This painting is not just a final result. It is a story of exploration, risk, emotion, and discovery. Art without limits teaches us something far greater than technique. It shows us that creativity exists beyond boundaries, beyond fear, and beyond the idea of making mistakes. What may feel like chaos in the beginning often becomes the foundation of something truly meaningful. Every brushstroke carries intention, even when it feels spontaneous, and every layer adds depth not only to the canvas, but to the creative experience itself. I hope this journey has inspired you to look at art differently, not as something that must be perfect, but as something that must be felt. Whether you are an experienced artist or just beginning, remember that your creativity is unique and powerful. The moment you stop holding back and start creating freely, you unlock possibilities you never imagined. If this video inspired you, take a moment to support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing so you can continue exploring more creative journeys like this. Your support helps keep this space alive, a space where imagination has no limits and creativity continues to grow. Thank you for being part of this artistic experience. Keep creating, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep believing in your own vision. Because in the world of art without limits, the only boundary that exists is the one you choose to break.